We are live. Juice heads, what the hell is going on, pals? I tell you, today, well, I guess today and tomorrow, technically, because we got 2 nights of it, but say what you want about the product year round. This is like the one day of the year, or in this case, 2 days of the year. We're allowed to get excited about it, geek the fuck out a little bit, and to all the fellow wrestling fucking nerds out there, happy WrestleMania Day. Ugh. 2 nights. We'll get to that. We will definitely get to that. But how do you have WrestleMania without Hulkamania? The 2 manias kind of go together. And and as a matter of fact,
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
Oh, tell me he didn't just say that. What the hell is going on? Welcome to WrestleMania pregame. We'll see how long we go today. We've got some gaps to fill from, NXT pregame from last, I guess I went on Thursday. So it was only 2 days ago, but in 2 days, well, in a span of 2 days, we had NXT TakeOver Part 2. We had Smackdown, and we have WrestleMania Night 1 tonight. And I also watched Broken Skull Sessions with Randy Orton because I didn't even know he was on it. And I guess it was fairly recent. I think it was from 2021 because he was talking about how his program with Edge was a year ago. So I would assume it would have to be from this year at some point. Look at that. The hat disappears. That's funky. That is funky for those watching on YouTube. That's green screen technology for you folks. But let's get into it. We got a nice array of topics today. I got to tell you. So I just said this is the one time of the year where we put our grievances aside, right? And here's my list. So let's, for starters, and I guess this is more a gripe with Vince and the way he sees things. But have you noticed that past WrestleMania 30, they haven't been numbering WrestleManias, and it's just WrestleMania Pirate Ship this year, for example. And when they're in Dallas, it's WrestleMania Cowboy logo, and so on and so forth. They're in Orlando, so it's WrestleMania theme park. I think it's cool to root your logos and your colors and your design into where you are geographically. But Vince said something to the effect of, well, after 30, it feels old. Well, bitch, I was born 6 months before the first WrestleMania. So me and WrestleMania are the same age. So what are you trying to say? I'm 36. What are you trying to tell me, Vince? And, but it's just silly. I mean, it would be like if they stopped naming the Super Bowl. Wikipedia still numbers it because you have to. I mean, how else are you going to distinguish it with numbers and letters? Because you can't. Not everything's a graphic or an icon or whatever. So I just think it's silly. It's one of the sillier things that I think they do is. But like every other pay-per-view, it's like, oh, this is the 28th annual SummerSlam or whatever, and they shove that down your throat. I mean, we can go into the ridiculousness of things they number, right? Like, for example, they give you title reigns in days. If someone has a belt for a year and a couple of months, I don't measure that in days. I measure it in years, months, maybe weeks. If you want to do weeks, I'm cool with weeks. Hey, you have the belt for 80 weeks. Okay, it's like a year and a half. Got it. Cool. I don't know. Am I nitpicking or what? Or are these points legitimate? Let me know what you said. The other thing, and now I'm going to go from Vince to the fans. The "This is awesome" chant. I get it. It's the fans appreciating what's going on in the ring. Or whatever situationally is happening on, whatever situationally is going on, whether it's a promo or something like that. I don't know. I think when stuff like that happens. Like I noticed like these smarky crowds kind of like to pat themselves on the back. I think one time they did a "We Are Awesome" chant or something like that. And yeah, so I guess my gripe is just with the Smarties Marks. I just don't like when it comes through on TV. It's sort of like you're telling them you approve. It's like, bitch, no shit, someone approved them. They're in the WWE on the main show. So I think to me it just comes off as pretentious, like they're the ultimate judges of what goes on. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're the ones with the wallets and the money, and we're the ones paying for the tickets and the now Peacock subscriptions and so on and so forth. But that's how you let them know, with the dollar, not with your voice. Your voice means nothing, because especially wrestling fans. Like, how many wrestling fans actually do what they say they're going to do? It, like, you know, when they call for boycotts or whatever, it's all Twitter talk. So that kind of grinds my gears. But that, you know, I think the more I mention this stuff, the more they do it, right? And then here's a question I really have, and I'm genuinely curious, and maybe someone can answer this question for me. When it comes to closed fist punches, are they legal or are they not legal? Because I probably watched more wrestling this week, more current wrestling this week than I've watched in the past maybe 2 years. The forearm blows that they do, they just look goofy. Like hitting someone with your forearm, like it's not like, you know, instinct, you want to fucking punch, kick, right? The basics of any offense. What's wrong with throwing a punch? I mean, they do it all the time in mixed martial arts. I'm not saying this is mixed martial arts by any stretch of the imagination, but this is simulated violence, as my boy Don Tony likes to say. So I just don't understand these forearm punches. I just think it looks goofy. It just looks goofy, and it takes me out of it. And we're gonna get to that too today. That's gonna be a recurring theme. Like, they do things that, like, I'm watching it and I'm like getting into it and I'm trying to get lost in it, and it, you know, and then they pull me out. They pull me out with goofy stuff like that. But speaking about getting invested and getting pulled into it, I really love on NXT. There was the hype video for, I guess, Walter and Ciampa, and Walter must have called it a sport. It felt like half a dozen times in the video package, and it's just like, man, there is no way Vince watches 1 second of NXT. No way. Not even with it being on the USA Network, because he would never fucking greenlight that. And I'll tell you what too. I didn't even have this in my notes, but you watch these current day WrestleMania commercials, and you hear Michael Cole hyping it up, and he's, you know, he's taking his orders. I don't think he made this up. He's getting told to say it probably. But the past, like, number of years, they've been calling WrestleMania the greatest event in entertainment and in pop culture. And it's like, dude, you don't have to say it's a sporting event, but can they at least... I never had a problem with sports entertainment, because even when I was a kid and I thought it was real, or you know what I mean by real. Yes, it's real in a way, but I always found it as like a mix of sports and theater. So yeah, sports entertainment. I mean, even as a kid, because, like, you know, I would watch football and stuff too, but they don't cut promos at a football game. It's just the sport. So, like, I always understood there was an entertainment aspect, even as a kid. Right, Booker T?
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
By the way, I'm cutting and editing something right now that I'm really excited about. It's a lot of fun, and it'll be like a sort of an intro. Hopefully it won't get pulled down for copyrights or whatever, but it's definitely fun making it. I got some of the best of on there. Here's another thing I noticed from NXT. Now they have their own women's tag team division with belts. Why? Why? And I was just complimenting them that they only had one women's match each night, which I'll give you two. You're allowed to have two. But I just think the more belts, the more things get watered down, and we'll talk more about belts as it pertains to WrestleMania later in the show. But just, if anything, to make it less watered down, if you just have to have a second belt in the women's division, why don't you do like an Intercontinental level belt rather than shoehorning these tag teams together? Because it's so unorganic. And when I was a kid, they used to do that too, a little bit, not as much as they do now. But they would just shove like two random people together, and it'd be like, you know what? No, like that's not a tag team. You know, I like some cohesiveness. I like when they wear like similar colors and gear, and it's like a unity of two people. That's to me what tag team wrestling is and what it should be. Not just fucking shoving two random people together and telling them figure it out. So, but now that's not to say I wasn't a fan of the tag team women's match. I thought it was a great match, and Candice LeRae, she's very good. Her partner was very good. I don't recall her name off the top of my head. And obviously Shotzi's awesome, and it's nice to see Ember Moon getting a resurgence, you know. So that's all good. I just think the belts are a tad unnecessary, and they got to start taking some of these belts away. They really do. You know, one of the problems with WCW back in the Dizzy, too many belts. When every match is a championship match, it just means less and less and less. And I think it means less, like the more you're just watering it down. You're watering down what it means to have a belt. And you know, speaking of things that just kill me, the camera work. I'm gonna harp on this because they just don't stop it. And even earlier today, I was watching WrestleMania 26 because I like to watch WrestleManias on WrestleMania Day. Even WrestleMania 26, which I guess would have been 2010, they were doing it back then. So this has been going on for over a decade with the constant cutting, like half a second here, half a second there, the zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, cut. I mentioned before, things that pull me out when I'm trying to get pulled in. Doing things like this takes me totally out of the moment. You know, Randy Orton when he was talking to Austin on the Broken Skull session, you know, he mentioned as a performer being in the moment. And I've taken acting classes, I get it. It's pretty similar to that. Well, as a fan and as a viewer, I'm trying to forget that I'm watching something. I like to feel like I'm in it, part of it. And nothing makes me feel more separated and just, quite frankly, makes me want to change the fucking channel when it's cut here, cut there, cut here, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in. And again, I'm not saying every camera angle has to be a steady cam or a hard cam, but a little more of that wouldn't hurt. That's all I'm saying. You know, I understand they do camera tricks for different reasons, but go back, and I was also watching WrestleMania 8 today, right? 92. Entirely different presentation. And they let you get lost in it. And I just think there's just too much nonsense now. It's like over the top, unnecessary stuff. But again, that's just my opinion. But I think I'm right about this. You know, they're lucky to have whatever fan retention they have at this point. So why are you trying to, I guess they're not deliberately trying to do it, but they do things that piss off their fan base, which I like to think I'm a pretty good, like, you know, if you cut a section of their fan base, it's probably averages out to people just like me around my age whatever, my gender, I mean, dude, telling a girl you're trying to date you watch wrestling is like instant. Like, you say that if you don't want it to work out, right? Like, you say that if you want them to like go away and not come back. You tell them you're a fucking, and then you say you do podcasts about wrestling, and then you you tell them how long you've been watching it. By the way, I forgot to mention 30-year fan. Actually, this is my 30th year. Not to deceive anybody, I did start watching in '92, but I could say this is my 30th year. And actually, right around WrestleMania 8 is pretty much when I started watching. But even before that, like I obviously knew who Hogan was and Savage and Warrior and stuff. A couple more points about NXT, then we'll move on. And again, you don't come here for results, right? We don't really dissect matches, although, I'll comment. And by the way, I think all the work is great. I think the in-ring performers are great at what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So that's my premise also with these shows. Now, are some matches better than others? Absolutely. I thought Finn, and I was going to call him Killer Cross, but now he's Karrion Kross. I thought really Finn really tore it down, and Cross too, obviously. But I mean, Finn was like, whoa. Like, first of all, the shape he's in, and Cross in great shape too. I guess they don't call her Scarlett Bordeaux in NXT. So this was actually my first time seeing a Cross match in NXT, really ever, because I don't watch Impact. I don't even know how to find it if I wanted to watch it. And there's just so much wrestling on that I don't know how anyone could squeeze an Impact. You got to really like Impact to go out of your way to find it. With 3 hours of Raw, a now bloated NXT, which it does feel a little bloated now, being like 2 hours, right? That's one of my first takeaways from watching it, because I really haven't watched it since it's been on USA. So you got a bloated Raw, you got a bloated NXT, you got 2 hours of AEW that goes by really quick because they try to cram as much into that as possible. And then you got 2 hours of SmackDown. I mean, shit. Like, how the fuck? And then you got pay-per-views once a month, or, then you throw in, I guess, their quarterly AEW pay-per-views. I guess they do them quarterly. It's a lot. It really is. So, hey, if you're watching Impact, God bless you, because I don't know how the hell you do it. Yeah, you probably got to hate the WWE, and I don't like. Yeah, and then there's Japan, Old Japan, right? NJPW or New Japan, rather. Then there's the Indies. I'm in Jersey. Prior to COVID, we had shows about a half hour away from where I live in Rahway, and I've seen AJ Styles versus RVD in a community center gym, and I've seen people that had just been in the WWE, and I had seen people that were on the way to the WWE. That was pre WWE AJ Styles, and it was also I saw what's his name from the Good Brothers there, Luke Gallows, when he was in between WWE runs. Not too much. Oh, I saw Kurt Hawkins. Dude, I saw Kurt Hawkins actually have a tremendous ladder match at one of those events. Like, I was like, yo, this guy's nuts. Like, to be doing these kinds of spots at a show like this is crazy. But it's a shame that never really comes through when he's employed by the WWE. But a paycheck's a paycheck, so I get it. I totally get that. But yeah, they never did him any justice up there. I thought, I'm only saying this because I've seen him live. He really impressed me at these indie shows. And he had a whole different character. He was himself. He was, I think, he didn't call himself the King of Queens, but it was something to that effect, the Prince of Queens or something. And he had a totally different shtick. And it came across as like genuine. It's like comparing it's like comparing the difference between the Ringmaster and Stone Cold Steve Austin, basically. And it's a shame that never got. I thought when he was going to return to the WWE, he was going to bring that Because, like, Drew McIntyre arguably had this transformation after the WWE Future endeavored him, and he went away for a couple years and really enhanced who he is as a whole encompassing character and performer. And he brought that back with him when he went to NXT, because, you know, he didn't just go right back to the main roster. He had a nice little NXT run. But no such luck for Kurt Hawkins, aka Brian Myers. But yeah, no, I totally enjoyed this guy live. Just a little tidbit. Maybe, you know, that's something a lot of people wouldn't know, that he's actually pretty fucking good. And then I just have one other comment from NXT. Fucking Gargano. Dude, I love him as a performer. We're probably about the same size, like 5 foot nothing, you know, $185 soaking wet. I mean, that's what I weigh when I'm in my best shape. I'm not right now in my best shape, although the clock is ticking. I need to step it up a little bit. But anywho, enough about me. But Gargano wore that ridiculous fucking Iron Man suit. I really hope he wore that because he's a heel. Because he was selling it like it was the coolest fucking thing ever. I just really hope it was intentionally goofy. I really hope, like, in real life, he didn't think that was, like, cool. Because he's a little bit of a mark himself, right? You have a lot of people that grew up marks now are in the business. And I just really hope that's not, like, a genuine fucking thing with him. That's all. But it was, dude, he had me cracking up, like, the way he was selling it, and his in-ring mannerisms when they were doing the ring announcing for the title and all. So I just, like I said, I just hope it was intentionally goofy. But anywho, then we had a little Smackdown last night. It's tough watching and keeping up with the current product. There's so much. But I guess they did a couple WrestleMania matches on SmackDown, which I just don't understand. They did the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, and they did the Andre. I mean, the Andre was already, you know, delegated to permanent pre-show status. But it's like, you have your own network. It's a 2-night event. You're telling me you can't squeeze these? You're having two women's tag team matches, which is double unnecessary. Because I just disagree with the whole women's tag team division thing. I think it's really goofy. Again, and it's just, you see, like, these random people coming together, and I just never bought that. As, you know, if you have legitimate tag teams and you have enough of them, I get it. But I just really don't find that to be the case. Whew. But the one thing I will say, I was really entertained by the start of the Fatal 4-Way Tag match, and I hope all the participants in the Fatal 4-Way Tag match and all the participants in the Andre Battle Royal got the WrestleMania payday at least. But yeah, I just find it a little ridiculous that, how do you not? You have your own network. I don't understand how you're not going to fit things onto the card. I mean, for God's sakes, the last time WrestleMania was in my backyard, which was only, I guess, 2 years ago, I didn't even go because I knew it was going to be like a 7-hour event from pre-show to finish, and it turned out to be something around that. The rewatchability of these WrestleManias has really gone downhill. And again, and that's their approach, right? They're doing this deliberately. They're like, well, we want a broad range of fans, which they don't have to begin with anyway. So I don't know who exactly they're trying to appease. Instead of just appeasing, like, their typical fucking fan base, it's like, oh, we'll do a little bit of everything and we'll attract all these people. But they're not. It's not working. So, and it's like they just keep doubling down on it. It's frustrating as a fan. And again, everyone's getting paid. They're all making money hand over fist. So I really don't think the performers have a problem with it. But as a fan, I want the best product possible, which is why I'm really big on AEW. And AEW is far from perfect. But I just find it to be a much superior product at the moment. But anywho, another thing I noticed, Tamina, glad she's still employed. I really am. She's a legacy. The last year couldn't have been easy on her with the whole dark side of the ring about her father. She's got feelings too, just like everyone else. But hey, she's getting paid. She's got a steady job, so I'm happy. However, who the hell is designing her graphics that go on the big LED screens? I don't. Again, another thing I just don't understand. Maybe someone can explain it to me. Why it's like capital T, lowercase a, capital M, and it's like small I, but it's like M squared with an I, and then it's big N, and then squared with like a small a. I just don't understand it. Does it mean like she turns from big to small? You know, like Monster Girl on Invincible. Are you guys watching Invincible? You're fucking geeks just like me. Great show on Amazon Prime. Check it out. But yeah, I was just confused. Seth Rollins, great commercial / promo. Well, commercial pro, whatever you want to call it, promo in the form of a commercial. Really enjoyed that. And what's his character now? Because he was the Monday Night Messiah. So is he just like a generic like televangelist guy without like saying he's a televangelist? Like, is that what we're getting at? Because if you're going to be a televangelist, just be a fucking televangelist. Like, I don't understand like why they can't say he's a televangelist. Just fucking say you're a televangelist. I'll appreciate it, Seth, if you're watching. Because I'm actually enjoying the work. I think there's something there in the persona. And I am looking forward to his match with Cesaro, which I don't know if that's tonight or tomorrow. Most of the Raw matches are tonight, and most of the SmackDown matches are tomorrow. But I think Seth and Cesaro actually go on tonight. Let me check this out here. Wikipedia will answer this for us. Do a little screen share for the juice heads out there, for those watching on video. All right. So yeah, we get Cesaro versus Seth Rollins tonight, and that's probably the match I'm looking forward to the most tonight. I really, to be honest, don't care about any of the other matches except for The Miz. And I guess that's a tag team match now, but I don't think that was always a tag team match, right? I think it became a tag team match. New Day and AJ with Almas should be good too. Almas, whatever it is. I find that they actually pronounce it differently too, so I'm not even sure how to pronounce it myself. Lashley, I just don't care about. Although, like I said, I think I did my first pregame show, and I did say I think they're going to give Drew his moment back from last year because he deserved it last year. He was a good sport for carrying the belt in 2020 during a rough time, and I think they're going to pay him off tonight. But I'm not really into the predictions game, but that's just something I see I think is fairly obvious. Braun and Shane, like I said, I really don't care about. Shane needs to stop wrestling. I'm worried about his health. And then the women's tag team turmoil match, you know how I feel about that. Although I do want to point out, and this is a very unpopular opinion, I actually love Billie Kay. I don't care what anybody says about her. She's all right with me. I wonder if she's single. Can someone let me know her marital status? So, what else do we have? So, I don't know if I quite made it to the end of SmackDown last night. But I'm sure Roman probably cut his own promo or had Paul cutting a promo for him. But I really did enjoy the promos by Daniel Bryan and Edge. Again, they came across genuine, which, I mean, that's something I really care about when I'm trying to watch wrestling and get pulled into it. Is it genuine? Or does it come across that they had to memorize a bunch of lines and it's horribly written and just scripted fucking shit? Not a fan of that. But authenticity and conviction, which I heard last night from Daniel Bryan, that I heard last night from Edge, that is what will keep the fans coming back. I don't know what kind of reach this show is going to have. I hope people watch it before they watch WrestleMania. I went on a little early today. But if anybody that's anybody sees this, authenticity is key. And I guess Daniel Bryan and Edge, because they're upper echelon guys, maybe they have that a little more freedom to work with than maybe the mid-carders and curtain jerkers. Not that there's anything wrong with being a curtain jerker. Shawn Michaels opened up 2 WrestleManias in a row, 8 and 9. And I think he opened up 5 or 6 as well. Or 7. So he curtain jerked 3 WrestleManias in a row, 1 in a tag team. Or did the Rockers open up? The Rockers definitely opened up at least 1 WrestleMania. I don't think it was 6. It was either 5 or 7. But anywho, nothing wrong with being a curtain jerker. They're supposed to set the tone for the night. And if you're curtain jerking WrestleMania, that's like an honor. That's like a coveted spot. You probably want to be the first match, the last match, or like the third to last match. Those are probably the best slots. Because as you know, when they're, and again, I don't know how they run out of time on their own network. Someone needs to explain that to me as well. But the match that always gets the short end of the stick is the semi-main slot, second to last. So if they're behind by like 10 minutes, you know, they were supposed to have maybe a 16-minute match. Now it's a 6-minute match. So that sucks. But that's why they're in that slot also. And I don't know, like, how many people still feel like this, but I know when she took her ball home, kind of like Austin did, but not quite at Austin's level, Sasha Banks, or took her ball and went home, whatever the saying is. I just feel like, at least with me as a fan, she's got xpac heat. Just because of the stories I've heard about her in real life. And that's not good. And I feel like Bianca Belair is sort of like a superior version of what that boss character wants to be. However, I did watch a little bit of her Broken Skull session with Austin. And I did appreciate her story behind the boss gimmick. And she actually admitted, like, she was getting ready to pack up her bags and move on from NXT or FCW, whatever. I guess it would have been FCW. And she's like, you know what? Damn right, I'm the fucking boss. And she made that whole character. And I really appreciated that story. And it does make me respect her. I may not like her, but I totally respect her. She's in great shape. She's got a great look. And at least, like, I never really understood the boss character. I sort of did in NXT when she had that alliance with Charlotte. I got it then. But again, as the years go on and she got promoted to the main roster, I just felt like it's a watered down version of what it was. And I remember Jericho did like a little work shoot promo, like basically shitting on the boss character when he was still with the WWE. Oh, speaking of Jericho, looking forward to that Broken Skull sesh tomorrow. Totally looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's my little spiel about Sasha. I mentioned that they don't put the Mania matches on Mania anymore. So yeah, I did have one takeaway. I was mentioning I tuned into the Broken Skull sessions with Orton. He basically said he was a shitty promo cutter until his feud with Edge from 2020. And I really don't think that's the case. And I'm going to mention it for as much as I need to. I was at WrestleMania 20. But dude, he did that pre-recorded backstage promo with Batista and Flair on each of his sides, but he was the only one talking. And he was basically cutting a scathing promo against Mick Foley and Rock, mostly towards Mick Foley. And I thought it was tremendous. Now, again, was that probably a little more produced because it was kind of like he was talking, then they cut to video. He was talking, they cut to video. And I think they were like in a different spot after every video cut. But it was really well done. And he was the guy doing all the talking. So that's not to say he's never phoned it in on the mic or whatever. But, I just always thought he was capable of cutting a good promo. Maybe I believed it more than he actually did. But I was surprised to hear that. But yeah, go back and watch that WrestleMania 20 promo. Really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So, on to WrestleMania. We're looking at the card. So, just looking at this card, right? You see 14 matches. 8 of them are title matches. So now we're at the point at WrestleMania, and they don't even have all the titles in the company being defended. But we're at the point at WrestleMania now where the majority of matches are title matches. Back in the day, you had maybe at most 4 title matches. That's the 3 main belts, heavyweight, IC, tag team, and maybe a women's championship match. Even WrestleMania 10 had the 4, whatever. Got it. But now, when the majority of your matches are title matches, to me, it really makes it feel like the titles are worth less. It just waters it down. It doesn't even feel authentic. It feels like, hey, everybody gets a belt. Everybody gets a trophy. Because the wrestlers now, they're all pretty much my age or younger, and the slightly younger generation than me. And I mentioned my age in the beginning of the show. That's the trophy generation where everybody grew up with a trophy. Now it's like everybody gets a belt. It's like the same shit. And that's what it is. It's shit. But like I said, this probably won't fall on deaf ears. They'll probably create more belts because I'm bringing this up. I have in my notes that, they're going to have 2 women's division tag team matches, but you can't have the Smackdown tag match. I thought that's a little silly. And let's just talk about that too while we're on that. Do we really need a Raw tag team division and a SmackDown tag team division? I think the way that they handle the women's tag team division, where it's interbrand, is the way to go. That's the one thing I actually think that's correct about that. I think all the belts, first of all, let's decrease the amount of belts and let's just make them interbrand. I think that solves a lot of problems. You're not shoehorning guys together. Like Otis is with fucking Chad Gable now. He had a tag team partner that he came up with. Is that just like because they don't like Tucky? They're not big on Tucker? What like I don't even know if he's on Raw or SmackDown. I guess they split them up. But yeah, to me that's just a weird thing. I don't know. I will say Robert Roode and Dolph work good together. I buy them as a legitimate tag team. And they have a name. They actually have a name. It's not just Roode and Ziggler, right? So I appreciate stuff like that. And again, these are 2 guys that got shoehorned together, but they made something out of it. So totally appreciate that. And yeah, and that's pretty much all I got. See? I take notes. That's what I do. So, yeah, and again, I try to be positive because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a fun thing, watching wrestling, being a wrestling fan, and especially this is our night. This is our night. So, with that said, enjoy WrestleMania Night 1. Enjoy Broken Skull Sessions. I think that drops tomorrow, prior to WrestleMania Night 2. And thanks for tuning in, Juice Heads. We'll be back probably. I can't see how I wouldn't do a Raw pregame after WrestleMania Night 2. Leading up to Raw. So, what was that, Sean?
Even though lately you've had some sunny days, my friend, you still can't get the job done.
Oh. I'm putting together a really cool intro video. It'll be something. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with me for 40 minutes and geeking out on our favorite weekend of the year, WrestleMania weekend. And I'll either be back tomorrow with Mania pregame part 2 or Monday. I can't see how I would wait any longer. All right, Juice Heads. Peace.